Hello there, Qckslvrslash, and today we have a video courtesy of Aethertech in the Tier 9 American destroyer, the Fletcher. And in many ways, and I'm pretty sure I've said this before, the Fletcher is stronger than the Gearing. In some, it's not. One of the things it does, I find, actually do better is gunnery. The Gearing just gets a little too big, it's a little wider, it just seems to eat more damage, whereas the Fletcher is nimble, and it can knife fight with the best of them. Also, the Fletcher has a well, it's all relative, but it has a faster torpedo reload, and that can catch some big ships off guard. Now, the Gearing obviously has those great range torpedoes, which are useful in their own right, but if you can manage your detectability, these torps are more than adequate, as you can see from the range rings. You have a nice, healthy 5 kilometers of stealth fire for your torpedoes, and that goes a long way. And right off the bat, Aether has gone charging into the Bravo cap and finds an enemy Benson. You'll notice he fires AP, and the Benson's giving broadside, so this is a reasonable tactic. Unfortunately, after 2 volleys, not getting a ton of damage, switches back to HE for more reliable, consistent damage, and just starts working the Benson down. Now, there's a lot of destroyers that right away would wind up firing their torpedoes off. They see another one, they throw the torps. I see that a little too often before you really know what that enemy destroyer is going to do. And, I mean, here you see enemy DD decided, I'm going to smoke. Now, unfortunately for Aether, one of his tubes got temporarily disabled. The lucky part, though, is they were already loaded when it happened. And that is so frustrating sometimes when you're 2 seconds away from reload and they get hit, and that resets the reload. Whereas once they're loaded, they're just damaged. They get repaired, the torps are in the tubes. And he just spreads them out at the smoke where the Benson was. He lit a fire, he's got 9,000 damage, some friendlies hit it, so 1 torp hit should be enough to finish this Benson. It's just a matter if they do, and you can see the first rack hitting the island, so no luck there. Now, Aether's not going to stick around and fight over the cap. There's cruisers closing in, and, well, really gets a bit of luck there. Gets a torpedo, finishes the Benson. What I was going to say is, really, those cruisers getting in there are going to be the best thing to really contest that cap, because, Edinburgh, Zhao, they can wreck things with the best of them. The Edinburgh has smoke, they both have good hydro, and that Z-23 is more suited for trying to find Eddidian smoke. But it's all for naught as Aether gets a torpedo in and clears the cap out. Now, he's heading over to A. It looks like no one else on the enemy team is, and with the Tashkent spotted, Aether's got free reign over here. Now, that's one of those things when you're in a destroyer that you really want to be aware of, is where are those enemy destroyers? And then, as you get to these higher tiers, where are the enemy radars? And you can see the Donskoy and the New Orleans. They've been spotted, and you look, well, perhaps the Minnow is a radar minnow, but that's unlikely. No Missouris, so those are the 2 ships you're concerned about, beyond the destroyers. And if you keep general track of where they are, nothing should ever be able to sneak up to you. And, well, the friendly Missouri just finished off the Donskoy, so that's 1 fewer radars. Now, Aether's gotten himself into the cap here. The torps are already in the water, smoking up, just gonna get guns going. And this is really the bread and butter of these American DDs. Gets 1 torpedo, 2 torpedoes, gets the flood, so now you know 100% this North Carolina's got a damage control, even more valuable to keep the guns going. A fire here, it's gonna stick, it's gonna burn for duration, and with all the other ships focusing this North Carolina down, just that tick of the fire gives him a really good chance of picking up the kill where maybe his guns wouldn't. The other benefit of those torpedoes is it stopped that Mogami and the BB with him in its tracks. And while I know it can be frustrating to watch a video where someone's going in and out like this is what you need to be doing in destroyers. There's too much going on, you're always at the risk of being detected. You need to be looking about, figuring out, you know, where are things around me, and Aether's doing a great job of that. And pretty much all the solid destroyer replays that are sent into me, it's the same kind of thing. It's the in, out, in, out, in, out. And yeah, it can get a little nauseating, but when you're the one doing it, it really, it doesn't bother me one bit when I do it. And I'm sure anyone else, because you're in control, you're expecting it. As Iowa's got himself in a tricky spot. He doesn't know is he's clear torpedo range. Those torps, they're not going to reach him, but Aether's guns still more than effective. They can really stack damage up. And sure, it's not the giant hit that a torpedo can provide, but with fires and, well, AP, when ships give you the opportunity, you can do big damage. Something else I'm gonna point out that Aether's doing well is at no point in this smoke has he been still. The Mogami's tried to guess where he is, but he keeps moving, and that works for both ducking shells but helping dodge torpedoes. As long as you have momentum in one direction, dodging torpedoes is a lot easier. If you're perfectly stopped, not only if you get moving, you've got to get the rudder over. Now, these torps look like they'd be good on the Mogami, but they run out. And this is a place where, yeah, the next tier, the gearing, has an advantage. But torps are almost reloaded. That would not be true in the tier 10 American DD. Now it's kind of obvious where the entire enemy team is, and that's going to give Aether a really good chance to try to get around and flank. And you know, one of the things I'm doing a lot is I'm looking at the map and going, okay, 1, 2, 3, you know, I'm counting up how many ships there are to figure out, okay, who's missing? Has anyone not been spotted? Is there a ship I need to worry about? And well, as I said earlier, the Tashkent, the New Orleans. The fortunate thing with it being a Tashkent is there's no way for a Tashkent to sneak up on a Fletcher unless you're just ignorantly paying zero attention to your map. It doesn't have the detectability. Unfortunately for Aether, there is a cyclone closing in, and a lot of battleship captains I've heard complain that this somehow gives destroyers a better advantage, and it really doesn't. It reduces nothing for them. They could already be dark, they can't shoot dark beyond 8K because they're not going to see anything. In a way, it balances things out. I think the biggest advantage of a cyclone goes to the battleships or long detectability cruisers. But in general, it just forces ships to get more aggressive, and I like when they come. I really hope they implement the moving ones from that one mission, Operation Hermes. And it seems from the upcoming space battles that they're trying out a couple more things, and I just can't wait for some of this to get implemented in the full game. Now, right now, Aether could sit in a smoke and be shooting the Iowa, but you risk the chance, and given the ranges of all the ships, the Iowa probably disappears. There's no one close enough to be spotting for Aether, so the second he smokes, his targets go dark. So holding that smoke, just kiting, keeping things spotted, it's going to go a long way here. It's going to help the teammates position so they can be the ones to surprise these enemy ships. And really, torpedoes are what you want. Now, the Iowa closing into range, that's going to hurt him, and it forces him to use that hydro. Gets one shot off, a very lucky fire, and, well, his divmate Ashen Wolf there in the Alsace absolutely wrecking the Tashkent. So there's one more ship down. Torps going the Yami's way, and that's either going to force the Yami straight out into all the friendlies, or he's going to slow up and eat them. Somewhere there's an Iowa as well, and almost more pertinent, somewhere there's a New Orleans that's getting closer and closer. He was last spotted, 10 kilometers away. That's getting mighty close to potential radar range. But so far, so good. Aether just able to work, and he doesn't hit the Yami with any torps, but he does connect with that Charles Martel. No flood, unfortunately. Little bad luck there, and well, looks like the Iowa is eating a huge chunk of damage. Doesn't even need to flood. The torps finishing him off. And there's the New Orleans. Knew he'd be coming somewhere, and there he is. And interestingly, he's focused on the Zao. I don't know if he's already used his radar. He might have. That could be Hydro too. And he's still working that Zao. And I find that an interesting choice. He's charged in like this. The Zao's bow on. I really feel Aether is the better target, and there his guns come. Shots out. Most of the shells missing astern, and the Zao is forcing the Orleans to stay bow in. And, well, I was going to say that gives Aether an excellent chance to carousel and use some AP, but the Alabama wrecks him through the nose. So, onwards and into another Iowa. The Torps are back, which just means free game. Now, unfortunately, Aether's trajectory carries him into detection, and there's no way to disengage here because he's out of smokes. So he launches one at the Iowa and saves his second volley. Starts working the Minotaur, and you can see what he's doing here. He's using the first set of torpedoes to steer the Iowa. The Iowa's gotta respect them, has to turn in, ends up eating one anyways, and now Aether's got his perfect broadside right in close, and that's going to be game for the Iowa. And, well, he didn't have the chance on the New Orleans because he got wrecked, but this Minotaur is going to learn that you have to respect destroyers. 7 Citadels, picks up the double strike. Minnow does get some torpedoes off, but on single fire, none of them are on the right arc, and Aether gets away scot-free, up to 212,000 damage. Confederate high caliber has that double strike. 7 Citadels even. This has been a very strong game, and with just the Richelieu left and all the caps in friendly hands, now you get cheeky. The Richelieu's not looking at him. He can get in close. I mean, the secondaries you sort of have to be wary of. They could get a lucky detonation or something. Who knows? All I know is this one is gonna be over. It is just a matter of time. So it's really just, can I get a few thousand more damage on the board? That's probably all he's thinking. He could be smoking here. But once again, he's not being targeted, so why use it? And there is the you are targeted. Here come the shots. Ooh. Leaves Aether on about half his remaining health. And well, just keep cheekily shooting. He never uses that smoke. And he's going for the kill, but the New Orleans picks it up. In this one, we saw Aether do a bit of everything. 623,000 credits, 11,000 experience, Dev Strike, Confederate, Double Strike, First Blood, High Caliber, 217,000 damage. Kraken would have been nice to round it off, but he showed kind of the flexibility that really makes me enjoy the Fletcher, and I'm hoping I enjoy the Chungmu, because I've heard from pretty much everyone, if you like the Fletcher, you're going to love the Chungmu. They are the same ship, the torpedoes change a bit, and modules if you run the radar. Now, in this one, I hope people can take away how effective AP can be from destroyers. I think a lot of people know the Russians particularly have strong AP, so do the Germans, but a lot just choose never to fire it from these American guns. But when you've got a cruiser in close, you can do big damage. Aether showing just that, topping the team, 2844 XP, and he would have been able to do the same to that New Orleans had the Alabama not absolutely wrecked him. And you can see he's close. He could have had that Kraken, you know, the Richelieu at the end, potentially one of the other ships earlier on. End of the day, though, you take the win and the experience, walking away with 444,000 credits, the 11,000 XP, and you can see he's boosted that a bit with some flags, but it was a very strong base XP game. Anyways, thank you, Aether, for sending this in. I enjoyed watching it. I hope everyone else did. If you did, please consider giving a thumbs up or subscribing to the channel. Both help me out a lot. As always, I'm Qckslvrslash. I'll have another one for you all later.